You sit across from her. Maybe you're at a restaurant. Maybe you're in a car. Maybe you're on the couch. And she smiles and she laughs and she looks at you like she really sees you. And for a moment, you almost believe that it's possible, like this real connection, this real intimacy, this real feeling of love. But then it creeps in, this quiet and unannounced thought, that old voice, that old feeling that says, you don't deserve this. If she really knew you, or you're not good enough. And you shift in your seat and you smile back, perhaps, and you say the right things. But deep down, this wall rises, a wall that she can't see, but can definitely feel. Because here's the truth: you can't love her while you're hating yourself. You can try, you can fake it, maybe you can push through for a while, but eventually the cracks begin to show, right? And the doubts surface, and the defenses begin to rise, and the distance continues to grow, because intimacy requires openness, and shame keeps you closed. Intimacy requires presence, and shame pulls you out of that moment. Intimacy requires trust, whereas shame whispers that you're not even trustworthy, not even to yourself. You think you're ready for love. You think you're ready to lead and to protect and to cherish and to build. But if you haven't forgotten yourself, you're not building on solid ground. You're building on shame. You're building on this fear. You're building on this silent belief that if she really saw you like the real you, then she would vamoose. She would leave. But let's slow down a moment, right? Let's just pause here and consider, where did this even start? Where did we learn to hate ourselves? Perhaps it was a mistake that you made, right? A big one, like one that you're still replaying in the dark. Maybe it's something that happened to you at some point, a wound that you never asked for, but now you carry like it's your fault. Maybe it was years of little failures and little rejections and little disappointments stacking up until your story in your head becomes, I'm not enough. I'm not worthwhile. Wherever it started, that shame took root. And here's the thing about shame. You see, it doesn't just stay in one part of your life, but instead it spreads and touches all parts. It seeps into how you show up at work or with friends or even in love, especially in love. Because love demands the most vulnerable parts of you. And shame convinces you that those are the parts that you have to hide. But let me just dive a little deeper into what happens when you don't get to the point of forgiving yourself. You see, when you don't forgive yourself, it shows up in the ways that you might not recognize. You sabotage, you sabotage good relationships because you don't believe that you deserve them. And you settle for less because you think this is as good as it gets for someone like me. And you keep people at a distance, not too close, not too far either, but because like the real closeness, oh, that feels dangerous. And you live in constant fear of being found out or exposed as a fraud, because that's what shame says you are. And you don't let yourself be loved, not fully because you've decided that you are unlovable. And if you don't believe you're worthy of love, then you won't trust it when it's offered to you. And you'll question it when it comes to it. You'll resist it. You'll reject it, not because you don't want it, but because deep down you don't believe that you're allowed to even have it or experience or enjoy it. But stick with me just a little longer, because in a few moments, I want to unpack how we begin to work out our self-forgiveness, even if it may feel like an impossible option right now. It's not easy, but it's the gateway to the love that you keep saying you'd love to experience. Okay? But let's maybe talk about why forgiving ourselves feels so hard. I mean, let's be honest, like self-forgiveness, it feels impossible for a specific reason, I think. And that's because it feels like letting yourself off the hook. It feels like saying what you did or didn't do was okay. And that feels like a betrayal of the people that you maybe hurt, or of the standards that you failed, or of the version of yourself that you wish you could have been. But consider this, if you would. Consider that forgiving yourself is not saying, yes, it was okay. Forgiving yourself is actually saying that I accept that it happened. Okay, it happened. I accept that I was imperfect through that experience. And I accept that I'm a human, and I refuse to live chained to that moment for the rest of my life. To have that one moment impact the rest of my life. You see, forgiveness isn't erasing. Forgiveness is release. It's not forgetting. It's choosing to live forward, not backward. See, you and I can't change the past. We can't undo the harm. We can't we can't rewrite that experience or that story, but we can refuse to stay trapped in it. But here's what self-forgiveness really means, okay? So lean in with me here. Self-forgiveness is not about forgetting. It's about facing, okay? It means facing the full weight of what happened. Facing the hurt that you caused. Facing the opportunities that you feel you missed. Facing the ways that you let yourself and others down. Facing it, it's a courageous step. And then choosing to treat yourself with the same mercy that you would offer anyone else. Because here's the uncomfortable part. If someone that you loved made the same mistake that you made, you wouldn't condemn them for forever, would you? You wouldn't tell them that they're irredeemable. You wouldn't say that they deserve a lifetime of self-hatred, would you? What would you say? You would say, you're more than your worst moment, right? Or you'd say, you're bigger than your biggest failure, right? Or you'd say, you deserve a second chance. But you can't seem to say that to yourself, though. Isn't that interesting? Imagine carrying this weight. It's a heavy backpack filled with every regret, every failure, every misstep you've ever made. And at first, you barely notice it. It's just a part of you. But over time, it wears you down. It saps your energy. It limits your movements. It keeps you from reaching out, from moving forward, from embracing anything new. And here's the thing. No one is making you carry this heavy weight. No one is chaining it to you, right? But you're carrying it because you believe that you have to carry it. Because somewhere deep inside, you've decided that this is what you deserve. But what if you don't? What if you could set this heavy weight down? What if that first step forward was love, like real love, the kind that you want? And part of that is just learning to live without that weight. Let's make this practical. First, maybe start by acknowledging the weight. And here's where self-forgiveness begins. Acknowledge the debt. Acknowledge that it exists, and then consider how you want to release this. You can't heal what you won't name, right? So name it. What did you do? What was it that continues to haunt your mind? Who, who did you hurt, perhaps? Or what do you regret along the way? And as you're writing down those reflections, I also want you to speak them out and face them. Just, this is courageous. And then not out of denial, not out of like a cheap kind of grace, but out of the deepest kind of courage. What would it look like to release that? Saying, yeah, I did that. And yes, it was wrong, but I am more than that. Forgiveness is not pretending that the debt never existed, okay? Forgiveness is instead choosing to cancel it anyways. It's saying, I will not keep punishing myself for this moment, for this event, for this circumstance, for this scenario. I will not let this, whatever it is, define me forever. I will not drag this into every new relationship and every new opportunity before me, every brand new day that I get. And then second practical thing I would suggest is speak to yourself like someone that you love. This second step is brutal and beautiful. So speak to yourself like someone that you care for, someone that you're deeply invested in. Would you say to someone you care about, would you say to them, you're disgusting? Or would you say, you're a failure? Would you even go further to say, you don't deserve love? No, like none of us would, right? So why do we say this to ourselves? Self-forgiveness requires a new language, a language that is gentler, a language that is kinder, a language that is truer, right? It's not about ignoring what happened. Instead, it's about refusing to let shame be the final word. It's about saying, I'm human and I'm growing and I'm learning and I am worthy of love. Even if I am imperfect, I am still worthy of love in the midst of my imperfection. And here's a secret. The way that you speak to yourself, this is the way that you'll eventually be speaking to her. If you can't extend compassion inward to yourself, you'll struggle extending it to those around you. But if you're feeling the weight of this, because it is heavy, just stay with me, because in a moment, I'm going to talk a little bit about the final piece, the truth about what happens when you finally forgive yourself, and why love, like the real kind of love, finally does become possible. But first, let me just address what happens after self-forgiveness here. See, when you forgive yourself, something profound begins to shift. And that is, you stop needing to be perfect, and you stop hustling for approval externally. And you stop waiting for the punishment to drop. You stop running from intimacy. And instead you start showing up fully, honestly, vulnerably. You can look her in the eye and not flinch. And you can let her see all of you, like really see you, without the shadow of shame that's pulling you back. And you can love without fear. Because when you forgive yourself, you're in essence reclaiming your humanity. You're reclaiming your sense of wholeness. You're reclaiming the parts of you that shame had tried to erase and shut down and suppress and stifle and all those things. You become safer, not just for her, but firstly for yourself. And in that safety, love has room to grow and flourish. I've sat with men. I've sat with men who have built entire empires, wealth, success, status, but they couldn't sit in a room with someone who loved them without feeling like they were about to be exposed. I've seen the way that shame hollows out even the most beautiful relationships. I've experienced that. And I've watched as marriages, mine included, crumble Not because love wasn't there, but because self-forgiveness was not. I've seen many men walk away from women who actually loved them in a deep sense because they couldn't bear to let themselves be seen that way. They couldn't receive it. Not because she wasn't good enough, and it's not because love wasn't real, but it was because they still believed that they were not worthy. And unless you forgive yourself, you're on the path to doing the same thing. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. Eventually shame wins if we keep it as our bedfellow, as our companion, unless you choose to let it go. But let me make this practical here. Practice self-compassion every day. Forgiveness isn't just a one-time event. Um, it's a daily practice, right? It's waking up every morning and choosing in your mind, saying, today I will not live in shame. Today I will not punish myself for yesterday. Today I'm going to offer myself with grace that I would offer someone else that I deeply care for or love. Now, this is not an easy practice. There'll be days when you slip, days when you fall back into old patterns, most likely, days that the voice of shame feels louder than the voice of love. But forgiveness is a muscle, right? And the more that you practice this, the stronger that you'll get at it. And slowly and steadily, it becomes your new default. Not shame, not fear, not even regret, but grace and compassion and self-acceptance. But let's talk about why this matters for love especially, right? Because that's where I started. You think you're ready for her, right? You think you're ready to love, to lead, and to build a life with someone real. But love is not built on perfection. It's built on being present. Love isn't sustained by performance. Love is sustained by grace. And if you can't offer it to yourself, you'll never be able to offer it to her. You'll hold back, you'll hide, you'll second guess every good thing. And it's not because she's doing anything wrong per se, but it's because you haven't learned to forgive yourself yet. You haven't forgiven yourself. Forgiveness isn't just for you though, it's also for her too. It's for the relationship that you say that you want to have and to experience. It's for the love that you've been dreaming for and of. Forgiveness is what really frees you though to experience and walk into that love in a full, free and fearless, courageous way. And without it, you'll stay stuck in these cycles of sabotage and shame. So here's my invitation to you. Lay down. Lay down the regret. Lay down the shame. Lay down the old wounds, those old stories that keep you bound. Lay them down. And then offer yourself the grace that you're so quick to give to others. Forgive the man that you used to be so that you can become the man that you're meant to be. And forgive the mistakes that you can't undo so that you can build a future that you don't have to keep running away from. Forgive the moments that you wish you could erase so you can actually create new memories that are worth remembering. You can't love her, not in a true sense, until you've learned to forgive yourself. And you can. And you can start today. So, if this conversation in this episode that you've just listened to has stirred something inside of you, consider checking out another one that I uploaded some time back called You Want Her to See You, but You Still Can't Face Yourself. There I dive deeper into these emotional walls that we build and how we can finally dismantle these walls with, again, integrity and intimacy. And if that feels like the start of something deeper for you, keep close in these conversations, because there's more coming down that are designed to help you, not just to prepare for love, but to become the kind of man who can hold it when it does arrive in your life. I appreciate you listening in.